It is officially strawberry season and fair season, so we thought what better than to share a strawberry funnel cake recipe with you that you could use up some delicious fresh strawberries. The first step is getting our fryer oil set up. Since it's going to take a little while for it to come up to temperature, we want to bring it up to 375 degrees. You can use any oil of your liking. We like to use organic red palm fruit oil here. You could also use coconut oil, although it may give it a coconutty flavor, or you could use refined coconut oil, anything you like. So I've got it on a medium-high heat here while we prep the rest of our stuff. Next, we're gonna prepare some of our strawberries. So we're gonna just cut off the tops and then cut them into quarters. Another thing we did at this point, especially if you're using a plant-based ice cream to top your funnel cake, is to pull your ice cream out of the freezer now so it has 5 to 10 minutes to soften. Otherwise, it's going to be a little too hard to scoop. The next thing we're going to do is prepare some powdered sugar. So here we don't have powdered sugar in-house, so what we normally do is throw some organic cane sugar in a blender real quick. So you could do the same thing, or you could use icing sugar if you don't mind icing sugar, or whatever sweetener of choice. After we blended it to a powder, we're going to put that aside, and now we're going to make our batter. Today we're using a gluten-free flour blend we got at Costco. We're going to use 1 1/3 cups of that. Next is baking powder. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We make this in-house too. If you need to avoid cornstarch, you can make your own too. It's pretty easy. Then we add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk up the dry ingredients just so that it's all incorporated before we add the wet. Today we're using almond milk as our milk of choice, but feel free to use whatever you like. We are using 1 1/2 cups of almond milk today. I really like this brand because the only ingredient is almonds. There's no extra emulsifiers. Then we're going to do 3 tablespoons of our powdered cane sugar and a teaspoon of vanilla. Our last ingredient is 1 egg, but we decided to sub a flax egg to make this vegan. If you want to use an egg, you can just substitute an egg instead of the flax egg. If you're not familiar with a flax egg, you use 1 tablespoon of ground flax with 3 tablespoons of water. You give it a stir, let it sit, and it will sort of gel up. Then we're going to incorporate it into our bowl, and we're going to give it all a big mix. I started with a spatula. I thought it would come together, but I ended up with too many chunks at the end, so I switched to a whisk. Another thing here, it's kind of like pancake batter. You don't want to overmix it. It's okay if there's a few lumps, but I had too many big lumps, which is why I switched to the whisk. So feel free to use a whisk and stop when you still have a few chunks left. Then we're going to pour it into our squirt bottle. So we do have squirt bottles here. Another option you can use a funnel. That's where it gets its name, funnel cake. Or you can use a zip top bag and you can cut off the corner, kind of like we use a piping bag. Or you can even just use a glass liquid measuring cup that you can pour into your oil. Now that we have everything prepped, let's check on our oil and see if it's come up to temperature. We want it to be at 375 Fahrenheit. We're up to temp, so we're going to make our first funnel cake. So this is the first one that we made, and I left it in here just so you can see what happens if you don't add quite enough batter. The second one, we go back in and we add more, and you'll see that it sticks together better. This one fell apart when I tried to flip it, and again when we tried to pull it out, but it did end up still tasting delicious. So don't worry about that, but if you want it to stick together better, just go back over a couple more times with more batter, and you'll get more of a funnel cake. So you're going to let it cook for a couple of minutes until it's golden brown on each side. Then we're going to pull it out and put it on some paper towel just to get a bit of the grease off. Now we get to add our toppings. So we're going to start with our powdered sugar. You pour some into a sieve, and then you can tap the sieve and it will sort of snow on your funnel cake. Then we're going to add the strawberries that we cut up earlier. Now if you want them a little sweeter, you can always add a little sprinkle of sugar. Then our ice cream. We made this vanilla ice cream yesterday. We make it with coconut milk here. 1 scoop, another scoop, and that's it. Enjoy, guys. Gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan funnel cake. I don't know about you, but I feel like this needs to be eaten with your hands, so don't mind my hands. a little bit of funnel cake and some ice cream and some berries on top. It brings me back to the days when we used to get a funnel cake at Wonderland when we were leaving. So good.